family. How you all doing? I hope all is well with you. My name is Keisha. I'm the owner of Ascendant Astrology, and I am your astrology coach. Today, we are going to be discussing the new moon in Gemini. There's a lot of outer planet activity with this new moon, and I think there's something bigger going on here than just the general astrology, with Pluto trine the new moon and squaring Venus, and Venus and the sun and the moon are squaring Saturn and Pisces. And so, and then you have Jupiter, which is there's a Mercury Jupiter conjunction. And Jupiter is really all about, the bigger picture, the global aspect. And Gemini is really, in short, about a mindset change. And when we're talking about Saturn and Pisces from a global perspective, what we're talking about is Hollywood, right? Even Pluto in Aquarius is Hollywood, and Pluto is currently in retrograde, and it's going to retrograde back into Capricorn in November for a month, and that'll wrap up the Pluto and Capricorn transit, which is going to continue the fall of global government um, narratives. And that's also Hollywood propaganda, commercials, um, any kind of promotion, um, and things of that nature, these kind of subtle things that seduce our minds to be in this group think type of system, the oppressive system that comes with that energy, right? And as these structures continue to kind of fall and break down, we as the people will be forced into changing our mindset about how we live, how we do things, our philosophy and daily routines will change. Um, and then we have Uranus next year that'll move into Gemini, and Neptune that will move into Aries. These are huge, 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 massive changes that is way bigger than any new moon, any eclipse. These outer planet changes are really shifting the way we live and the way we think about living on a regular basis from what we're used to. And so, on a deeper level, subconsciously, we are going through an upgrade. Now this can always look many different ways. Whenever you're having any kind of breakdown, this can look chaotic, you know, um, and Pluto is destructive. Pluto breaks things down to its smallest form to rebuild it back up. Jupiter in Gemini is in detriment, which can be more reflective and disruptive more than kind of some of the things that I'll be further discussing on here. And Venus is having a very rare conjunction to this new moon, which is based upon what was going on back in 2020. So back in 2020, we had the same exact Venus conjunction to the sun and the moon. And we had an eclipse in Gemini and Sagittarius. And Venus and all the other planets that were connected to it were in retrograde. right? And so something that you were planting at that time, something that was going on at that time, whatever it was that you're working on, it can show up in one of two ways: that you are reflecting on how far you've come and what you've learned from that chaos, destruction, and kind of breakdown. It's definitely going to bring up, the outcomes and, how we socialize or how we think about socializing from the lockdowns, right? And COVID and all those, those things that were taking place at that time, and how much that has changed us in the way that we think about socializing today. Those things are going to change. Um, and and then it was the Venus star point as well, which was also in Gemini. And there's some continuation or ending, or again, just some kind of realization that something needs to change and transform the way we socialize, connect, think, live our lives and our daily routines and habits. Um, and this energy is going to speed up. It's going to be a lot quicker. Um, this summer could fly by. Hell, this whole year from this point on could fly by with even Jupiter being there. But I do think a lot of whatever it is that's coming up for you at this time is going to be more so based on how do I put these new intentions or continue whatever it was I was working on back in 2020 in this very new kind of way. And as these structures break down, they will be more grassroots, more things in your community, in your neighborhood, more people and in-person oriented. Um, I think the way we communicate through social media is going to force us to change in some kind of way. There's going to be a lot of stuff going on with social media and how we connect or socialize now that's going to force us to change for the future. Jupiter is about your long-term goals. It's your 5-year plan, your 10-year plan, right? And I know it's hard for people to think that far ahead, and whether you're into that type of thing or you think that way or not, doesn't matter. You'll see if you're following me throughout these transits as I have these discussions, relating it back to these times, that this is what has been evolving over time, right? Um, and in that way, I do feel like this is more a reflective energy, more of a curiosity of learning and trying on new different ways on how to be, think, and act. Um, and it's going to be an optimistic, positive, because Jupiter is optimistic and positive. And even though Saturn with the square is going to be real tight, and we'll see that grow towards the end of the month as we get towards, we move more closer towards Cancer season. It's going to tighten up a bit and be a little bit more um maybe irritating is the best way to say that, because I do believe Saturn goes retrograde at the end of June. Um and so there'll be a little bit more challenges to this energy, but even still within those challenges with the optimism of Jupiter being in Gemini, there's still some upbeat energy, or that we were waiting for this change. It's going to feel like a welcome change. And even things that don't work out, don't pan out, or you don't get to do things the way that you thought that you were going to do them. Again, on a subconscious level, on an internal level, we're going to know that this is meant to be, or we'll feel protected in some way, shape, or form. Like, I think I mentioned this in the weekly readings, where there's going to be some like, um, detour, if you will, uh, whether it's big life wise or smaller things in your life that stop you from doing something. Like you could be on your way going somewhere and there's a detour and you miss a big car accident or something at the event or place location where you're going, something happens and you had a detour and you inadvertently it turns into a blessing as opposed to you being like, damn, I'm late, I missed that. I wanted to be there. I wanted to show up on time. I forgot my keys. Something happened to my car. Right? It's going to be. This can be very. This can be a very ominous time where we're being detoured to our soul's desire with Saturn and Pisces coming up with these delays, limitations. I lost a job, but you get something way better um, later down the line, or you gain this grand opportunity to start your own business or some kind of creative opportunity. These could be mentors, guides coming into your life unexpectedly that you just don't see coming. You didn't know that you knew that you needed. It's kind of like that energy. And so this isn't your typical new moon. Let me just say that. It doesn't matter what sign it's in. It's not just because it's in the sign of Gemini. It's more so because of the outer planets that are affecting this new moon that's making this not your typical new moon. This is a wonderful time for manifesting as Gemini rules your words. Your words form into your reality, especially with Saturn and Pisces. Saturn is about the reality, being realistic, and the words that you speak are, what becomes your reality. And so this is a wonderful time for really, really sitting back, reflecting, thinking, what do you want for yourself? Where and what did you learn from 2020 that you're realizing now, like, oh shit, I really did need that. I really did need to let that go. Um, Even though this time might have seemed again chaotic and disruptive, is like I understand now why those things had to happen because look at how much I've grown and how much I've learned from those things. Gemini is the representation of childhood and your environment as a child. And so a lot of things that you've learned from your childhood could be coming back up now for review in some way where you're thinking about either, again, expanding on what you've learned because it helped you and you want to help others and you're sharing this knowledge and information, wisdom, even, or that you change and get a chance to heal from the lack of knowledge that you've learned um, as a child in your environment, even in education. And even though Gemini is specific to childhood education, Jupiter is college. Even Gemini is about certifications and small courses, right? So, just in general, what accumulation of information and knowledge you have from the things that you watch, listen to, or have seen within your environment that you want to change in some kind of way. I even think the way we teach our children, it doesn't necessarily have to be specific to children because Gemini is about teaching and Jupiter is about teaching in general. But I think with all these structures falling down, the realization of the small talk and the way we teach our children and just teach in general, or just social media, the things that you learn from social media, they come in these small packages where you're getting 15 minutes or seconds of knowledge and information. How is that expanding now? Or how are you taking that information and be like, I want to go deeper, Pluto and Aquarius? This is going to change and evolve us into some kind of growth in our mindset and philosophy and how we live our lives. And we're going to put them in real life, day-to-day actions until it becomes a habit, a way of life, a lifestyle, a philosophy. Um, we're going to start to realize, you tell your child at 4 or 5 to do something, but you don't show them how. And then you watch them grow up and you wonder why they're not getting it, or they misunderstand something, or they have a hard time connecting and things of that nature, or socializing, and how that affects their adulthood. Even you can be realizing this. These are the things that I feel like are going to be coming up stronger than anything that I'm about to discuss here, but maybe you'll be able to relate to some of these things. But this is a very, very powerful time for transformation and change, going deep, deep, deep in the subconscious, and deep, deep, deep into the heart of healing around our social connections and relationships, love and relationships, um, and wanting to change and evolve out of this space that might feel like you only get to this point. Why is that? Being very curious and asking thousands and hundreds of questions of like, but why? How did we get here? Is the things that I've been speaking, saying, and living by hindering me, or blocking me, or stopping me in some kind of way? Is there more to that? Is there some higher level of knowing to that theory, that knowledge, that wisdom? It's just I feel like this is going to be such an amazing time, but I really don't think that we are quite aware just yet. This is very, very, very deep within the subconscious, deep within our gut, deep things happening right now that are going to come up and out in all different kinds of ways. And I can continue talking about that for 800 hours, but I'm going to stop myself right there and just jump in. With that being said, this new moon happening on June 6th at 16 degrees um, is going to be a huge societal change, societal norms changing, generational hindrances and wisdom, even growth and expansion in those things on a level that I don't even think we can understand right now. We might feel the change, where we feel different. We might feel ominous, like something's going on, but I can't quite put my finger on it just yet. I don't quite understand it just yet, but it will grow and evolve into deeper understandings as time goes on. And so the sign that will feel this the most is Gemini, but everybody has Gemini somewhere in their chart. And that area of life is what is growing and expanding. This will also be growing and expanding in your Aquarius area of life, as well as your Pisces area of life. Okay. New moons are a time for new perspectives, to enhance connections, growth, changing your mindset, and learning how to communicate from the heart. Gemini is a mutable air sign. It's ruled by Mercury, so even Virgos can be feeling this as well on some deeper level. Gemini rules communication, curiosity, witty, chatty, um, um, charming energy. This also rules again childhood education, vocation, some kind of skills training. Um, this also rules learning, teaching, listening, communicating the mind. This rules your siblings, aunts, uncles, nieces, nephews, cousins, neighbors, your community, your local community, cars and documents, information, any kind of social media, or apps, phones, um, emails, text messages, and devices, um, in your daily errands, your daily environment, the people that you spend, all your time around, your environment, who is in your environment. Um, I feel like I can go on and on and on, but I think I covered the basic. Oh, in your errands, like the little running around. So people are going to be very busy running around doing things, errands. It rules transportation, short distance transportation specifically, but public transportation. Yeah. It also rules seeing both sides of a situation. So the story within a story within a story. That's the twin energy, or what most people might consider the trickster. So we're talking about manipulation, the manipulation of words, um, and listening to uh, and listening, reading between the lines type of energy. Like, people will say something, but on a deeper level, this is what they really meant kind of energy. So this could definitely be gossip. Again, manipulation of words, trickery, um, and what most people say, two-facedness. But two sides of a story can be true at the same time. And so this is about understanding the story within a story within a story and unraveling that, going down the rabbit hole to research and understand that. This could also be body language. This is all kinds of language, to be honest, sign language, other languages. It's more Jupiter, but technically we're talking about different ways to communicate here, socialize and connecting, how we connect on a day-to-day level, which is through phones, cell phones, messages, texts, emails, documents, etc. Writing, learning, reading, math. Okay. This is a time for mental strength and wisdom, and it's time to grow up, right? If you think about all the conversations that you have to have with your children, again, not to be repetitive, um, but always teaching a lesson, a story, um, showing somebody right from wrong, how to understand something, why is it's important to be safe and heard and not misunderstood. So speaking up for yourself, standing up for yourself, saying what's on your mind, but from the heart, which might be a little hard with all these other placements going on. But um, this could be writing poetry, and even creative writing. Okay. A lot of stuff going on with that. Our curiosity will increase. Learning and exploring will be probably one of the most biggest things here that you can do. Enhanced creativity. I'd even say this is a great time for vision boards, of words, though, because Gemini rules words. And Pisces is creative, and Saturn, but Pisces is more images. And so maybe focusing on words in your vision board as opposed to images or pictures. Um, in Venus, the sun and the moon will square Saturn and Pisces. And so Venus is about love, money, beauty, um, fashion, your social life, contracts, agreements, marriage, um, any kind of legal matters. Um, and the sun is going to be highlighting all of these themes. The moon is your family, your roots, where you're from, memories, reminiscing, cookouts, um, get-togethers, housewarming parties, house parties, spending time with family, taking care of family. um, your mom, it could be children, um, your home, even. This could be some home decorating or making your home more playful, more witty, more fun, with Gemini, which can be filled with people of debates and discussions about life, about children, about your roots, where you come from. With Jupiter and Gemini, this is great for story time and just learning your history, your culture, where you're from. Um, or again, some kind of philosophy, a new way of doing things within your environment. Um, yeah, I feel like I could say more about that, but I think you get the picture. And then squares are tight, the squares are the energy of Saturn. And so Saturn is about limitations, delays, um, blockages, feeling limited or restricted. Um, Internally, this could be internal things, especially with Venus being in the South Node. Um, I feel like the people level, we've kind of got some kind of understanding of what we've been through. But with Venus and the South Node in Libra, this is past life things, you know, past life karma, past life relationships coming through here. Which is something you got to clear out first before it can come up and come out. And so we're like in a transitional period of changing our mind, our old mindset, and letting and releasing some things that no longer serve us or that are holding us back, that aren't allowing us to be great, our best selves, our higher selves with Pluto and Aquarius, right? Our third eye is opening, our mind is evolving and changing. And that's a lot, especially in Pisces. Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac. So that is an indication of an ending. Pisces within itself is about releasing and letting go. Releasing and letting go of what? Lack, a lack mindset, not having faith, not believing in yourself. Venus can also be your values, your self-worth, what makes you valuable, and figuring those things out, researching and learning what those things are might mean having conversations with family, your roots, and learning who you are, where you come from, your history and your culture, understanding those things on a deeper level that expands or allows you to expand on, oh, that's why I do what I do. Again, this could be as simple as your childhood and looking back at your childhood, like, I did always used to do that when I was young, huh? That reflection, good or bad, it's about understanding how far you've come, how much you've grown. What are you doing now? What do you want to change or what do you want to expand on? Um, um, Pisces rules, signs, symbols, synchronicity, sleep, the things that you do at night, baths, healing, relaxation. Um, it could also be letting go of addictions. This could be a massive time that people like stop smoking or stop drinking or stop doing drugs. They want to change. They want to change something that is limiting them from being their best self by healing and understanding what got you to that place you know, in the first place. Where did that come from? And really, really, really diving deep to let that pain go, so that you can heal and evolve. Um, this could be um, any kind of bad habits. It doesn't just have to be addictions. There's all kinds of addictions, right? If it's not serving you, though, these things could be coming to your awareness, your consciousness, that it's like, I'm going to let that go. I also think that as these, again, systems and structures break down, like let's say, for example, you can't get online anymore. What do you do for fun? Where do you get your downtime at? I think it's going to force people to be more out in the streets, or it's summertime and they have more fairs and, community events and stuff going on. And so you're not bogged down by the propaganda, the commercials, watching TV, listening to things that you're always doing in your environment that might challenge you or change your mind on how you change that within your environment. And it forces you to connect, get out, go to a barbecue, go to a friend's house, go to something that gets you to socialize more, and you remember what that, like that euphoric feeling um, of being connected to something that feels good, meeting your heart's desires and what makes you happy. Um, um, yeah, I feel like I could say so much more about that, but I think you guys get the picture. And so essentially what we're talking about here is good things come with time and patience, being flexible and open-minded, not so rigid or um, set in your ways. Ooh, that's going to be hard. Good Lord, have mercy. I mean, we've been social distancing for the past, what, 4 or 5 years now? Yeah, I don't want to talk about it, okay? But something about that could be coming up, like you have to remind yourself, like, oh shit, that was a minute ago. Is it really necessary? Um, Even the way we think about these price rises and uh, all again, these bigger downfalls of what's going on in the outside world, that we're just like more optimistic or have faith, like, well, that's done. I lost my job, or this place is closing. It's going to force you to change the normal places and spaces, or new things will replace those things. But I think it's important to remember to build up the community, not buy back into these bigger corporations, because what we're kind of moving into, or the my fear, I'll say that, is that what can happen now, moving into these things or going back to your old ways, but a different store or location or what have you, is that we buy into this theory that you'll own nothing and still be happy, which has quite frankly been going on. I feel like I'm saying it's a new thing because it's emerging in a new way, but this is not new, right? Even being back into your 9 to 5 when you know you're not happy, with Uranus still in Taurus, even though in Mars in Taurus, even though this has nothing to do with this specific energy here. Um, what did we learn from all the Taurus season and the Taurus energy and Jupiter being in Taurus? We're still having that conversation, which is about, where do you get your resources? Where are you getting your money? What other places and spaces and ways can you accumulate finances? And so again, that leads us back into building up smaller businesses in the community. Gemini is about your community. So trying to be more creative, thinking outside the box, being innovative, to doing that as opposed to buying back into the system that we know doesn't work, that we know is limiting, it's oppressive, it keeps you in a box, it doesn't really allow you to be yourself. With all these outer planets moving into these very thought-provoking and self-oriented signs, it's like, no. I want to be free. I want freedom. I want sovereignty. I want to be able to move and speak and do as I please and not by the rules and guides of the system. Right. And so thinking more creatively on how you can build your community, your family unit, and things that you can do together. And that way, um, is going to be more, it's going to bring you more freedom, positivity, and optimism as opposed to doing it the other way. But everybody's going to be different. You're going to do this all in your own way. I'm just giving you an example on my vision. This is how I see this energy being played out. And so it will have you questioning things, asking if I'm seeing things, where did this relationship go wrong? Where did the person go? This could lead to more loneliness and isolation and emotional distance. Um, the lesson is to show up for yourself and don't wait for somebody else to give to you in order for you to feel validated. People will start to see if people don't show up, that is the answer. Instead of sitting there waiting for an answer and now you're not moving or growing or evolving in your life. Um, People might not feel heard, or choose to speak their mind. Um, um, but it's better again to fight through this and not isolate and work through things. Find that strength to work through things. Um, People's walls can be up, we can feel guarded. Um, but what I do feel like is if you do, again, if you're on the right side of this, you're going to feel more playful, witty banter in the way that you're communicating or making things happen in a more fun, upbeat way, because that is the natural energy of Gemini, even though it's being super suppressed. That's how you'll know you're making a change or you have evolved in some way because you're challenging yourself to do something other than what you would normally do, or probably what you'd rather do internally, which is run away from the problems, ignore the problems, escape the problems, right? Um, Try doing something different, and you will feel a healing, positive change or shift. Um, People might show up out of the blue while you're healing, but again, it'll be like a positive shift or change, like I was talking about earlier. Like you're going somewhere and then there's a detour, but it's something way better ends up coming out of that situation than what you were heading towards. This is that kind of energy. Um, on a global level, this could be like community, what do you call those things where they have like community discussions? There's a name for it. It's not community discussions. Um, I can't think of the name right now, but like when legislation has um, an event and they want to hear from the people. A lot of people could show up to that because they have a lot to say, but higher ups can be like, I don't want to hear it, or I'm not showing up, or, they shut it down. Like, I'm not going to answer that question. Um, there is still an agenda being formed here, make no mistake of that. And again, that agenda is going to be, I think, a lot more isolative than even we are now. Or like at least now we have some kind of freedom, not really, but it can appear that way. This time around, it's going to be in more of a bubble, where they'll be controlling everything because of technology, and people might see this as cool or convenient, or um, I don't have to do much, but I own all this stuff. But or I have access to all this stuff, but I don't own any of it. That's a very dangerous place to be. Um, and it's something to just think about as your life is. growing and evolving of what that looks like for you, or what it even feels like for you, to be mindful what you're buying into. Um, it is going to sneak up on you. I don't think any of us are going to see it. This is all very happening very, very, very internally. It's deep. Um, Conditioning is deep. Um, and a lot of us aren't even aware of it, which is crazy, but they did a really good job of making us believe in a lot of things through our subconscious. It was a very subtle manipulation that you didn't even know you were being manipulated until you got older and you started asking yourself, why am I so successful, but yet not happy or still feel empty? Ask yourself that question. Go deeper with that and do your own research. Challenge that thought process. There are other answers and other ways out there that you could be succeeding that do not consist of you feeling that constraint. That constraint is not the only way. There are other things that you can do, but you have to be open to that. Open your heart and your mind to it, and the answers will find you. Um, I think that's probably, if there's anything else that I said in this video, that was the most important piece, because we are moving into a place where, those things are going to be deafening. I don't think they're going to get away with it the way they have this time around. If you go back and listen to my Great Conjunction video, um, I would do that. I'd even go back and listen to my Jupiter video I did in my yearlies. Um, I would go back and listen to those two videos. I think I've talked about most of this stuff already, like way back in 2020. Um, but yeah, yeah. So anyway, Pluto again trying Aquarius. Okay, the new moon trine Pluto in Aquarius retrograde is expanding our mind when it comes to computers, technology, power, our friends, connections. This could be like a lot of reporting of information as a result of people out on the streets doing the deep dive into situations, getting the news, giving power to people. This could be deep insights that lead to social change. On the negative side, this is intimidation, online bullying, intense, scary conversations, things and secrets that are being hidden through documents, emails, phone calls, being exposed, especially corruption, blackmail, and setups. This can be big announcements about groups, politics, corruption, and business, or big businesses. I think there's going to be more banks and businesses that shut down on a level that can feel really scary. Um, we have to downsize because we don't really have as much as they're saying that they do, or even having the resources to help others the way they may be portraying. Um, and I think those things, as we grow, especially when we get closer to the Pluto moving back into Capricorn, something big is going to come out in a way that's just going to blow people's minds. And don't even, I haven't even gotten to do the research for Neptune moving into Aries and Uranus moving into Gemini. It's like, you think whatever you see now is bad, just wait. Just wait. And that's not to scare anybody, by the way. This is a necessary process that has to happen. Change is inevitable, right? And it's just the way it's happening. Could be a little scary. It could be a little intimidating. It could give pause and make you want to give up and not, again, get involved. But breakthrough, just make sure the way you're getting involved is more free. It's more about you and your happiness, what works for you, what makes you happy, with all the resources, etc., that you need to survive, right? Um, And then Mercury and Jupiter will conjunct each other, which can bring good news, good intentions. Again, taking some kind of course, learning a new language, buying a new car, traveling, moving, but with faith. Um, we might be more optimistic about socializing, launching a website, promoting something, doing podcast, blogging, taking a risk in any of these themes in a good way um, is going to bring positive energy. Um, like, sending that message that I apologize, letting somebody know that you care about them if you're questioning or been questioning it. It's like, I don't know if it's just gonna work out, but I'm gonna give it a try, and then it ends up going way better than you had anticipated. If you're afraid of rejection, take the risk. You will be given a blessing. Even if it doesn't lead to long term, you will find something out in a way that is going to be very pleasant as opposed to your worst case scenario that you had originally had in your mind. I do see this energy as a detour to your true heart's desire that'll lead you to some kind of curiosity to do it again and or again grow and evolve with that risk in mind of doing something different. It's a lesson, more than it is meant to be fearful or be held against you in some kind of way. And that way, I think this energy is freaking amazing. There's always good with the bad. Um, Life is all about ups and downs, and you make it through every time. Every time you're going through something, afterwards you come out, you're like, damn, that wasn't that bad. And this is what I learned. And and we are at another impasse of that, right? It wasn't really as bad as I thought it was going to be. I could have lived without the shit, right? Definitely could have lived without it. But I learned so much. You want to share that, give it back, teach it to your children, your family, and anybody willing to listen. As usual, family, I love and appreciate you. I hope you found this information helpful. Peace.